This is my bushcraft knife that I spoke about, that the pins had started coming out of it. I was batoning some fatwood and kept noticing there was something scratching my palm. And when I looked down, I realized the pins had started to, well, that one, in fact, had rotated to the part where it cracked the wood and had started to actually come out of the handle. The other pin in it also moved. And he encouraged me really good. So here I got it propped up on some fat wood, and I've got a punch, and I just started tapping, and they came out relatively easy. And as they did, you can see the scales just started to fall right off the knife. The epoxy, I guess, failed, whatever was in here for holding those scales on the blade. And so, yeah, with encouragement, I have decided I'm going to try, I don't know how well I'll do, to get these scales off and make my own. I have yet to find out what size these pins are, as I'd like to replace them with some nice mosaic pins. I put them on the little measuring thing, and it came up at the number 16, so I'm not sure what that means, but I'll have to do some more research to find out what size pins this knife actually takes. Now I have the knife all taken apart. That's the lanyard tube. Has odd angles cut into it. There's the pins, one smaller than the other. The handles, scales. That's showing the crack on that one. And then what looks like very little epoxy on the blade itself. So I decided now it's time to clean off any dried epoxy from the blade and move on from there. Now I went out in the garage and got a chunk of my burl that we harvested this past summer, and I had used my chainsaw with my grandson out in the backyard. We cut that into slabs. So I put the pieces of the two scales there on it, and my first thought was to cut out two pieces, and then I realized it'd be better to cut one and then try to cut it in half. So I kind of roughed out the size I would need. Had a really hard time cutting this though, because my bandsaw is not a very powerful one, and the blade kept coming off the wheels. But I ended up cutting the shape out. Burl is very hard to cut. And managed to get the shape roughed out and decided it was thick enough. And I outlined the scale on it, and then I went back, and after several tries and putting the blade back on the wheels after it fell off, I ended up cutting the shape out to near perfection, really. And it's thick enough that once I'm finished with it, I should be able to cut it right in half and have two scales.